And in less than 18 months, the company has tripled its valuation and scheduled its second ESOP buyback for all employees. To talk about the road ahead at inFeedo, joining me now is its founder and CEO, Tanmaya Jain. Tanmaya, welcome back to Startup Street. Now, you've got both Jungle Ventures and Tiger Global. So first, tell me, what does their backing mean to you?
No, thanks for having me on this show, Shruti. Once again, I think the fact that 90% of our previous round was still in bank, it was definitely not the money. It was the people, and it'll always be the people. For example, we expect support from Jungle Ventures to enter Southeast Asia. We expect support from Tiger Global to enter the United States. Okay. And in addition to that, we also got founders of, say, Zeta, Freshworks, and Gainsight on board. But I think a line I love using with everyone is that with both Tiger and Jungle on board, I think it's time for inFeedo to roar.
All right.
That's what it means to us.
Absolutely. Now, before we talk more about the fundraise, talk to me about your proprietary AI bot called Amber that acts as a chief listening officer to the CEO. Now, I believe it has intelligent conversations with employees to find hidden gaps in their culture, managers, and well-being in real time. If you could elaborate on how this works, and also what is the percentage improvement you bring in retaining top talent for your clients?
That's a loaded question. So just for starters, I'll take one step back. The reason why we do all of this is we live in a world where Monday mornings suck. We call them Monday blues. We subconsciously accepted that we struggle to wake up every morning. So our vision is to make a workplace, help build cultures where employees love to come to work. Now, how do we do this? Amber is that chief listening officer to every CEO. Let's take an example, Shruti. Let's say Shireen is your CEO and you're the employee. You will get an email on your most important milestones at CNBC. For example, your 1 year of joining, in case you have a project change, a location change, or any special moment, you will get a personalized email or a Slack or a message from Shireen, which says, "Hi, Shruti, congratulations on this special occasion. On this special day, we'd love to have you interact with our Chief Listening Officer, Amber."
Okay.
Now, this conversation has questions designed by science to understand how you really feel. And every follow-on conversation, Amber remembers your previous chat and builds a trend line of how Shruti is feeling over time. Okay. And basis that, we are able to sort of predict, is Shruti on the verge of leaving CNBC? Okay. Is Shruti on the verge of burnout? Or is there any intervention Shireen needs to do to sort of make sure you're productive and happy at work? So that's us in a nutshell. And to conclude with our metrics, we've been able to help companies like MakeMyTrip improve their retention by, say, 12% YOY.
All right.
And it's not just about attrition, and that's a firm belief we have, because sometimes your toxic employees leave, but you still have some toxic employees in the company who are creating more damage than the ones who've already left. So we measure another metric called ENPS, Employee Net Promoter Score, and we've reached a number as high as 87 with companies like MakeMyTrip, etc., that I spoke about.
Yeah, that's good. That's good numbers. You've also set some aggressive targets for yourself, Tanmay. With the fresh funds, you plan to triple the product line and quadruple revenues. What makes you so bullish? What are the current business growth numbers? And do take us to the new offerings in the pipeline.
Of course. So first of all, I'm grateful, right? Because what makes me so bullish is the kind of companies we get to work with. For example, it's conglomerates like Tata, Godrej, it's startups like Paytm, Oyo, Byju's, and even MNCs like Samsung, Xiaomi, and Lenovo. So the metrics which sort of make me excited are Amber has had 1.3 million conversations in the last year alone. Okay. Our revenue is more than doubling and now tripling YOY. And in addition to that, we're sort of doubling our workforce from 100 people to 250 people this year. So these are the things that really excite us, excite me for the future ahead of us. And with regards to our roadmap, what we have in mind is, number one, we want to prevent burnout, right? We want to figure out how we can directly identify employee burnout. 50% of the workforce is burnt out, right? So that's a big problem to solve.
Yeah.
Number two is we want to prevent backouts. Unfortunately, today, people accept offers and they don't show up on the date of joining. It's unbelievable how many people do this. So we want to provide a good candidate experience and not just an employee experience using Amber. And finally, we want to automate all kinds of queries and frequently asked questions that HR gets with consistent and exciting answers that HR can give to candidates, and thereby reducing HR's time by half.
All right.
So these are the things we have in mind.
Okay, amongst the many things, Tanmay, you spoke about doubling team size, and you're currently hiring for over 140 remote roles across all functions. If you could elaborate on your hiring plans and what geographies are you looking at?
Sure. So for starters, we're looking for 4 major buckets of roles. There's product, engineering, marketing, and sales. Within that, of course, you have the subsets like data science, etc. We're looking to hire these folks across regions, like for starters, all over India. We're 100% remote, so any city in India. Second, in Southeast Asia, in specific Singapore, and third, in the US. So these are the regions where we want to hire these people, and most of this talent will be channelized towards accelerating our product innovation.
All right, one final question before I let you go, Tanmay. The relationship between employees and companies is changing radically, forcing leaders to rethink their approach to talent. What is the potential you see for inFeedo as you set out to redefine employee engagement for global enterprises?
Wow, that's a good question. I think for the longest time, we've heard about the great resignation and the fact that attrition's the highest in the last 20 years. So if I were to conclude on this topic, right, I'd say companies like Microsoft, Apple, and all of these amazing products have been built with a laser brutal focus on customer experience.
Sure.
But I think the next decade, the next wave of companies will now be built with a laser brutal focus on employee experience. And we're seeing a switch from customer to employee to a candidate-driven world now, and it's all candidates. And there was a very interesting LinkedIn post I read last week where it said the HR is now the candidate who's being interviewed, not the candidate themselves.
All right.
So that's how we see the potential, that we want to bridge that gap
and
solve for the gap between the candidates and the companies out there.
All